Namaste, aloha. My name is Janapati Das, and welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Please accept my respects, everyone. Let me take this moment to offer my most humble obeisances unto Jagat Guru Siddha Swarapananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master, and unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, my spiritual grandfather. We are going to continue on the second chapter of the first canto. But first, of course, as always, we will chant Krishna's names. So please join along. Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramam Sinamine Gorakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Krishnayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramam Sanamine Gorakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Krishnayate Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Moana, 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 Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Moana. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Haribol. Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaurakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasthayate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we are reading Divinity and Divine Services, still chapter 2. And we're currently in the conversations. Srila Sutta Goswami is instructing the sages of Naimisharanya and talking about Krishna, always about Krishna, and the devotees and their service towards Krishna. And we had left off at 18. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam Bhagavata Sebaya Bhagavatiyatama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavate Nashtiki. Nasta, destroyed. Playeshu, almost to nil. Abadreshu, all that is inauspicious. Nityam, regularly. Bhagavata, Srimad Bhagavatam, are the pure devotee. Shivaya, by serving. Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead. Uttama, transcendental. Shloke, prayer. Bhakti, loving service. Bhavati, comes into being. Nashtiki, irrevocable. So we have some very cool words. Abadreshu, Bhadra means something that is auspicious or special or wonderful. But when you put the A, of course, in front of it, you negate it. So among is Reshu. Reshu is something that is among. And Abadresha is something that is inauspicious. So this is in all that is inauspicious. Inauspicious, unfortunate, and of course we have Bhagavata, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam, or the pure devotee, the Bhagavat. Sheva is the servant, or the servant, and Shloke are prayers, and we also know Shloka, which is a verses. So the relatives, usually the prayers and the transcendental verses of the scriptures are like prayers. So this is translation text 18, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. It's a really wonderful verse. Let me read that again, because what we are doing is what's really amazing about the Bhagavatam is you can see the reality of what you're doing in the Bhagavatam that it's already instructing you. It's like watching transcendental subject matter come to life. Regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, which is what we are doing, rendering service to the pure devotee. We do this in service to our spiritual master and the devotee of Krishna by spreading the message of the Bhagavatam to people. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. So this is troublesome. It's inauspicious things that don't have to do with Krishna. Our own attempt to try to find happiness is really troublesome. It's inauspicious, so therefore it's troublesome. It doesn't actually bring the satisfaction, happiness, and it actually puts us further into greater illusion. And loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs. This is a shloka, right? We are also chanting the mantras. We are praised, Krishna is praised by the verses which are sung like songs, like the Bhagavad Gita. It's a song of God. It is established as an irrevocable fact. So this can't be disputed, right? This is the truth. This is a very wonderful verse, actually. A wonderful one to contemplate. So Bhaktivedanta Swami says, here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious within the heart. Sorry, let me try that again. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. So those things that we assume to be great boons, great things that we want to bring us happiness and pleasure in this material world are actually obstacles. They're like, there's a saying in the Quran that says that Allah will put a rock in front of the heart of the disbelievers. Those people who don't want to serve God, they have this obstacle. They are actually setting up these obstacles in front of their heart so they can't see the real truth. And so these auspicious things, they're troublesome, they cause us problems, they're not auspicious, and they're obstacles. They obstruct our way of understanding who we really are. The remedy, it's like, when you get, the doctor is a spiritual master, right? He says, I have the remedy. Here's the medicine. You chant Krishna's names. Is the remedy. And like typical fogies that we are, we don't take this medicine. It doesn't taste good. I don't like it. How do I know it's going to work? How do I know you're a doctor? It's like the remedy is the association of the Bhagavata. So we're engaging in the Bhagavatam with the message of the Bhagavata. The pure devotee, his words are here already, as Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is explaining this. And my spiritual master is a Bhagavatam. He can abstract the purport of these scriptures and help give us the remedy in order that we may understand who we are and what our relationship with Krishna is. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee of the Bhagavata, which is why Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said there's a lot of people who make money, just like in the same way those people that translated the Bhagavad Gita for their own pleasure, for their own glory, for their own fame and whatnot, without really having an inkling of understanding of what the Bhagavad Gita really means. Similarly, there are people who are professional singers and performers, and they'll go through India, the villages, and sing the Bhagavatam. People give them money. But they cannot purport upon the Bhagavatam because they are not truly Bhagavatas. They are not devotees of God. So there's the book, the Bhagavata, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we will see this in the truth that the messages of the Srimad Bhagavatam is constantly purported upon in these stories by the spiritual master, by the Bhagavata, to his disciple. And this is how spiritual life is and spiritual knowledge is transmitted. So, and also Krishna did to Arjuna, and Narada Muni transmitted to Srila Vyasadeva over and over and over again. Both the Bhagavatas are complete remedies. So these are the remedies. You have the two types. You have the Srimad Bhagavatam, translated and purported upon by the pure devotee of Krishna, the Bhagavata. So it's not just enough to have a translation of even the Srimad Bhagavatam, because that may be completely incorrect also. They may not be a Bhagavata who is translating it or purporting upon it. But if we're fortunate enough to and we are here with Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and of course my spiritual master Jagat Guru, they are able to transmit the meaning, the inner meaning of the Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are complete remedies. So that is the remedy right there. The Bhagavata, the person, the Bhagavata, the scripture. A devotee Bhagavata is as good as the book Bhagavata, because the devotee Bhagavata leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavata. And the book Bhagavata is full of information about the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, who are also Bhagavatas. Bhagavata, book, and person are identical. The devotee Bhagavata is a direct representative of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So by pleasing the devotee Bhagavata, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavata. So the key word in that is pleasing. That is a key aspect. We must be pleasing to our spiritual master. Just try to learn the truth, as it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4, verse 32. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master, render service unto him humbly, and that the Bhagavata, or the devotee of Krishna, can transmit the absolute truth because they have seen the truth from their own spiritual master. Human reason fails to understand how, by serving the devotee Bhagavata or the book Bhagavata, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Srila Narada Deva, who happens to be a maidservant's son in his previous life. The maidservant was engaged in the menial service of the sages, and thus he came into contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of foodstuff left by the sages, the son of the maidservant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality, Srila Narada Deva. One can never understand through mental concoction and mental speculation the power of coming into contact with the pure devotee, the pure Bhagavata. One cannot understand the power of the name of Krishna, and how all these things are all Krishna. They're all Krishna's energies. They're all belonging to Krishna. They're all equally potent. And so in the concept of modern day knowledge, it's about what you know and how much accumulated knowledge you have that gives you the understanding about something. But this is not the case in the Vedic tradition. It's about how pleasing you are. One can be an illiterate and be completely knowledgeable by the grace of Krishna and by the fact that they are pleasing in their devotion to God and to their spiritual master. These are the miraculous effects of the association of Bhagavatas. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily. with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress he has made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The message of the book Bhagavata, therefore, have to be received from the devotee of Bhagavata, and the combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. Text 19. Tada rajas tamo bhava kama loba dashaye chitaiter anadvidam stitam sattve prashitadati tada. At that time, Raja, in the mode of passion, Tama, the mode of ignorance, Bhava, the situation, Kama, lust and desire, Loba, hankering, Adaya, others, Cha, and Ye, whatever they are, Chitta, the mind, Hitai, by these, Anavidyam, without being affected, Shtitam, being fixed, Sattve, in the mode of goodness, Prashidati, thus becomes fully satisfied. Translation: as soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. So we've talked about briefly in the Bhagavad Gita the different gunas, the different modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and why it's key to be situated in the mode of goodness and ultimately transcend to the mode of transcendental goodness. But in the modes of passion and ignorance, which most of society is under these modes or these gunas, one is lustful. So not just in the terms of sexual, although that is a key one. We think of lust as sex, but lust in the concept of kama, lust, what we talked about in the Bhagavad Gita, comes from contemplation upon the objects of the senses and the desire to control and own that object. So it could come in many different forms: money, sex, situations. And so the lust, the desire, the hankering, you want that girl really, really bad, and you're just like lusting and hankering and thinking about it, or maybe you get one chance with her and then you're thinking about her. But these kinds of hankerings and lust and desire, these kinds of attributes from these different modes, have to do with our consciousness. And so by establishing an irrevocable loving service within our heart, by association of the Bhagavata, the devotee, or the scripture, the chanting of Krishna's names, one is able to be established in goodness and becomes completely happy. We think our happiness is going to be in obtaining those things in modes of passion and ignorance, but they never are. They're like thorns that we bite on, and we think, I'm drinking the blood like a camel. I'm drinking the blood, and it's really salty and tastes great. This really is very wonderful, but actually it's killing you. When you are established in goodness, you realize those things for what they are, as actually very bad for as obstacles, or as what they were saying here in the previous, the troublesome things of the heart. They are troublesome to our heart. What do we need for our heart? We need to be able to experience the true bhakti, the true love in our heart we have for Krishna, and that is both like an amrita or nectar or elixir, right? The elixir of love for God is very intoxicating and very sweet, unlike this biting of the thorns of material sense gratification. Here Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada says, a living being in his normal constitutional position is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. His normal constitutional position, so in relationship with Krishna, this eternal relationship that Krishna was explaining to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita about our relationship, eternal relationship and love that we have with Krishna, and our desire, our will to actually have given that up as creating a great obstacle and troublesome nature of our heart in our life, being born and born again in this material world. So the living being in this normal constitutional position is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. Yet somehow, I don't know how, nobody really knows, we've decided to, because we have a little bit of independence as a living entity, we decide maybe it would be better out in the desert, to go out in the desert and look at the mirages, than to be in the oasis. That was our foolish decision. The state of existence is called Brahma Bhuta or Atmanandi, or the state of self-satisfaction. So the Brahma Bhuta stage attained at the end of the Nirvana stage, where we've ceased our material attachments, and now we've come to the point of Bhakti Yoga in the stage of Brahma Bhuta, or they also say here Atmanandi. I don't know if that's actually in this verse or not. No, Bhaktivedanta just states it there. It's a state of self-satisfaction, right? I think it's stated in the Bhagavad Gita that when one relishes and understands the self within the self, the self within the self, he cherishes that, he relishes in that. It's a state of self-satisfaction. This self-satisfaction is not a satisfaction of the inactive fool. So it's not like we're blissed out in this kind of non-active Buddhist concept of nothingness. No, we are constantly active. We are active in our true nature in service to Krishna. This is our true nature. It's an active nature, and by our tendency as living entities, we have to be active. This is what Krishna was telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, that you will be active. It's not like you're going to go off to the forest and not do anything. You're going to have to be active. You just will be in the active for your own satisfaction, not the true self-satisfaction. You'll be doing it for your sense gratification. This self-satisfaction is not the satisfaction of the inactive fool. The inactive fool is in the state of foolish ignorance, whereas the self-satisfied Atmanandi is transcendental to the material state of existence. So it's transcendental. It's a transcendental experience. This state of perfection is attained as soon as one is fixed in irrevocable devotional service. Devotional service is not an inactivity, but an unalloyed activity of the soul. Unalloyed, right? So there's no differentiation, right? There's no doing this and doing that and doing this. Oh, I'll do this for Krishna and I'll do that. No, the soul knows its purpose. The soul is determined to be a loving service of Krishna, and as is our nature. This is our unalloyed activity of the soul, what we should be doing. This is our true Sanatana Dharma. The soul's activity becomes adulterated in contact with matter. As such, the diseased activities are expressed in the form of lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. So all these things, the true activity that we are doing in loving service to Krishna is pure, like milk, right? But when we pepper it with lemon or tamarind, like our association with the material nature, it becomes curdish. It becomes like cottage cheese, right? It's still essentially milk, but it comes out in a different form. In other words, this kind of form is in lust and desire and hankering. These are all these obstructions and obstacles that are blocking our heart. Because of our association with matter, we think, oh, I must be matter, therefore if I chase after matter, I chase after material things, therefore I will be happy. This is the true foolishness. The effect of devotional service becomes manifest by complete elimination of these effects of passion and ignorance. So we got to take the tamarind out of the sourness out of the milk, so the milk will be back to its milk again. But the milk itself is not really affected. It's actually our perception that it is compromised. The devotee is fixed at once in the mode of goodness, and he makes further progress to rise to the position of Vasudeva, or the state of unmixed sattva, or Suddha sattva. Suddha sattva is the transcendental goodness. Sattva is material goodness, the mode of goodness, which is a good state to be at. But from there, you have to take it further to Suddha sattva. Suddha sattva is the transcendental goodness. Only in this Suddha sattva state can one always see Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection for the Lord. So this is really interesting. I was talking to my mother about this idea that in the Bible, Moses was in a state of Suddha sattva. That it doesn't say that in the Bible, but what it did say is that Moses was beloved by God, by what they call Krishna there, Yahweh, Jehovah. And his brother Aaron and sister Aaron and sister Sarah and brother Aaron, or I think they're all related, right? They were a part of his mission, Moses' mission. But Moses was a pure devotee. Aaron and Sarah started to get puffed up and were not happy because they were not in Suddha sattva. They didn't see Krishna. They didn't see Yahweh eye to eye. They would hear Yahweh, or they would see signs about Yahweh, but they never saw the form of Yahweh. And they started criticizing Moses. And of course, Yahweh told them that the reason why, chastised them, and said, you shouldn't be criticizing Moses. Moses is in Suddha sattva. He loves me unconditionally, and his means and motives are pure. And so therefore he was able to see the Lord face to face, eye to eye. A devotee is always in the mode of unalloyed goodness. And so the point of that was consciousness, right? The pure consciousness. Moses was a Bhagavata. He was a pure devotee of God. He had unalloyed devotion to God. He had unalloyed devotion to Krishna. There was no tint of desire for sense gratification or any kind of material sense enjoyment. Fame. He endured quite the beating. It's like by his followers. His followers were led astray, and they complained a lot, and he had to just deal with that. But he would do it for the love of God. A devotee is always in the mode of unalloyed goodness, therefore he harms no one. But the non-devotee, however educated he may be, is always harmful. A devotee is neither foolish nor passionate. The harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord. However, they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. It's very interesting because when you have a certain desire for, you are acting in the consciousness of being a thief of God's property. Everything animate and inanimate is owned and controlled by the Lord, and one should understand, as it said in the Sri Ishopanishad, one should understand their allotted amount and not try to strive for other things than that. But our tendency in this material world is because of our conditioning and these obstacles in our heart, our desires are outwardly put. And so our desires are insatiable. We can never have enough in this material world. And therefore, even if we think of ourselves in the sense of being great devotees of God, we're actually causing suffering and pain. We're causing himsa, we're causing violence to other living entities. But we need to practice ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence to other living entities. We do that by engaging our relationship with Krishna and offering our service to Krishna. And so therefore, the things that if we have to act in a way that will cause suffering or pain, there is no loss on our part, and there is spiritual benefit or merit for those around. So we don't go out of our way to be like, well, let me just kill everything, because I'm a devotee of God. No, we understand that there's going to be killing wherever we go. Even just me sitting on this chair, I'm probably killing millions and millions and hundreds of thousands of bacteria just by sitting on them, or walking or driving, but I'm doing this class, and this is in service to my spiritual master. So therefore, this activity is a transcendental activity. A devotee is always qualified with the good qualities of God. Quantitatively, such qualifications may be different, but qualitatively, both the Lord and his devotees are one and the same. Text 20. Evam prashanna manasho bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vignanam mukta sangasya jayate. Evam, thus, prashanna, enlivened, manashaha, by the mind, bhagavat bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord, yogataha, by contact of, bhagavat, regarding the personality of Godhead, tattva, knowledge, vignanam, scientific, mukta, liberated, sangasya, of the association, jayate, becomes effective. Translation, text 20. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all Vedic. Thus, established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. This knowledge is called Vignanam, Tattva, right? Tattva Vignanam, knowledge that is scientific. The VI in the beginning has to do with transcendental. So when we refer to the word science, when Bhaktivedanta uses the word scientific, the Greek and the Old Greek, the Old French, has different words, siose, which has to do with the truth. Science is the word that means truth. And so, but the problem is with most material science, it's not completely truth. It's a pursuit of truth. Definitely, I think scientists feel like they want to pursue truth, but most of what is considered empirical science is actually speculation and actually not complete truth. The positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead is absolute truth, Vignanam. It is scientific. It is, as a matter of fact. It is not speculative. It's not up for debate. It is as it is. So when you go to say, where's the proof? The proof is in the pudding. The proof is already there. We don't have to measure things. We don't have to come up with speculations about what this means. It is what it is, and it says it right here. The Lord, one receives the absolute truth by rendering loving service to their spiritual master in Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. From that point, the descending process, the knowledge is received by the devotee. The devotee chants Krishna's names to purify his heart. He follows the instructions to be pleasing to his spiritual master. And this process is a process of uncovering what is already there. So it's not something that we're stacking like, material knowledge is. How much can I stack? Well, this, I've watched this. I took these PhDs, and I have this understanding. I've read these books and these authors and whatnot, and I've stacked all this knowledge, and I've picked and chose what I'm going to call what is knowledge in my opinion. So this is a lot of what Arjuna did. He learned a lot of things. He knew a lot of things because he lived in a Vedic civilization, so he knew the rules and regulations. Those were the stacked up things, and he could just pick and choose and say, I think I should not fight this battle because, it's like, I think, what I think. This is, what I think. You got the what I thinks. This is not a what I think. It is what is. It is what is. It's what Krishna thinks. In his opinion, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, my opinion, with a capital M, my opinion. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead's opinion is not really actually an opinion after all. It's the absolute truth. So what we receive from the Bhagavata, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the absolute truth. It's positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So this is in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 3, it is said that out of many thousands of ordinary men, one fortunate man endeavors for perfection in life. Mostly men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus they are engaged always in lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep. People want to strive for perfection in their life, but they don't know where real perfection is. They just assume that whoever gets the most cookies wins. So if I have this many cookies of money and this many cookies of women and this many cookies of cars and planes and money and assets and whatnot, then I won. That is my perfection. But these people, there are many people who have those things are never satisfied with that. Sometimes they completely unsatisfied and they commit suicide. Is because perfection is not found with he who has the most toys wins. The perfection of life, the fortunate man is the one who comes to understand their true identity and true purpose of life and can go back to Krishna, go back to Godhead. Out of so many men like animals, there is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life. The responsibility of human life. I love that. Because human life is a life of responsibility. It's not just being, I have responsibility that I pay my bills or that I, get the best things that I can get out of life. It's being responsible of using this precious form of life for the right purpose to come to know Krishna. And we can use the life to live a moral life. We can do that because that comes along with whatnot. And we can also have a successful life because we're doing it for Krishna. So it's not like we're just, going off to the forest somewhere and giving up all of our stuff like Arjuna wanted to do. He wanted to give up the kingdom. Krishna was telling him, no, this is not being you using your human life in a responsible way. You're just doing it because you have a misconception of what you think is the purpose of life. Which is why it's key to have the spiritual master to show you, no, this is not the best way for you to go in life. And so out of many man-like animals, man-like animals, right? Polished animals, as Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada would call them, there is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life and thus tries to make life perfect by following the prescribed duties. like Arjuna, was instructed to follow your duties according to my direction. And out of many thousands of such persons who have attained such success in human life, one may know scientifically about the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. In the same Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 55, it is also said that scientific knowledge of Sri Krishna is understood only by the process of devotional service, bhakti yoga. The very same thing is confirmed herein in the above words. No ordinary man, or even one who has attained success in human life, can know scientifically or perfectly the personality of Godhead. Perfection of human life is attained when one can understand that he is not the product of matter, but is in fact spirit. As soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once ceases his material hankerings and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. This is the first thing that Krishna tells Arjuna. You are not your body. For the soul there is neither birth nor death. You are an eternal spiritual entity. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the dictates of the mind. This is a major first step for people to understand. If we understood this alone, it would be very clear the egalitarian, the equality among living entities as God's children. We wouldn't be fighting over who's right, black, white, tall, short, whether someone's gay or transgender or, this or that. All these things are designations. They're non-existent in reality. The true reality is that we are spiritual in essence. We wouldn't be, I'm not happy in my man body. I actually feel like a female. Or sometimes I feel like a female. Sometimes I'm a male, so therefore I'm binary or non-binary. Or I'm queer because I feel this way today, and tomorrow I will be a, whatever they call that, a 2A plus, whatever, 2 spirit soul or whatever. They just come up with things. It's just like whatever psychosis that goes on in the brain. Oh, that's not a psychosis. That's actually who I am. That's part of my identity. So we'll just tack that on to the 168 letter alphabet LGBTQWXYZ plus plus plus, just to make me feel like I'm being inclusive. The true inclusivity is understanding that everyone is a spirit soul. They are neither black, white, straight, gay, old, young. They are eternal spiritual entities. So, as soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once ceases his material hankerings and becomes an enlivened as a spiritual being. It doesn't become an issue. These things are inauspicious obstructions of our true happiness. People think, that's my freedom. That's my freedom to do that. It's my freedom. It'll make me happy. It won't make you happy because it's not who you are. You're just further going off the ledge. Just think, I can't be a woman. I have to be a man, and I have to cut off my tits, and I, surgically alter my body and take different chemicals to change my body so that I'll be happy. And these people commit suicide, and people say, they're committing suicide because people are bullying them. No, it's because they are realizing that it's not what really makes them happy, and they've just completely fucked up their life and their body and their health so that they can be this other sex. And this hankering to be happy, which is really a perverted form of actually directing your love to Krishna. This attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance. So we spread the names of Krishna. We spread this knowledge to people that they will engage in this process and purify their hearts and elevate themselves out of this passion and ignorance, where they can understand, no, this is not who I am. I'm actually I'm a child of God. I'm a spirit soul. I'm eternal. I'm loved eternally by the greatest friend, the greatest lover. And we can actually love God with our whole heart and love each other truly in the truest sense without just being fake about it. This attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance, or in other words, when one is actually a Brahmana by qualification. By qualification. A Brahmana is a symbol of sattva guna, or the modes of goodness, and others who are not in the mode of goodness are either kshatriyas, vaishyas, shudras, or less than shudras. The Brahminical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So one cannot be a devotee unless one is at least qualifies as a Brahmana. So one can be a Brahmana not by election or whatnot, but because their consciousness is in the mode of goodness. And so therefore by qualification they are a Brahmana, and therefore they can be a devotee. They can, because above a Brahmana is a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is beyond a Brahmana. Sattva, Suddha Sattva. The devotee is already a Brahmana by action, but that is not the end of it. As referred to above, such a Brahmana has to become a Vaishnava, right? Has become a Vaishnava, in fact, to actually be in the transcendental stage. A pure Vaishnava is a liberated soul and is transcendental even to the position of a Brahmana. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is also a conditioned soul, because although the Brahminical stage, the conception of Brahmana or transcendence is realized, scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. So there is, unfortunately in this day and age, in India, there's this caste system, and people feel like, well, I've been born in a Brahmana, I'm a Brahmana because I was born in the Brahminical caste, and therefore, but their consciousness is polluted, like lower than a Shudra. So they are not really a Brahmana. They're not in the mode of goodness, they're in the mode of ignorance. But they feel, which is the worst kind of religious perversion, when people use the religious cloak to try to manipulate and whatnot. So I'm not just like a completely pro-religion person. Sometimes it's really obvious that people use that, and those are the worst people who use religion to hurt other people or to manipulate other people. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is also a conditioned soul, because although the Brahminical stage is the conception of Brahmana or transcendence is realized, scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. One has to surpass the Brahminical stage and reach the Vasudeva stage to understand the personality of Godhead Krishna. Yeah, there are many Brahmanas who are like, oh, Krishna, we know Krishna. He is this coward boy. He is an incarnation of Vishnu. It's like they don't understand who really Krishna is. Krishna is Indian. One has to surpass the Brahminical stage and reach the Vasudeva stage to understand the personality of Godhead Krishna. The science of the personality of Godhead is a subject matter for study by the postgraduate students in the spiritual line. Foolish men, or men with a poor fund of knowledge, do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. The fact is, however, that one cannot understand the science of the personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of Brahmana. When a qualified Brahmana factually becomes a Vaishnava, in the enlightened state of liberation, he can know what is actually the personality of Godhead. And in our so fortunate that in this dark age of Kali, where so much weird shit is going on, we have been given by the incarnation of Godhead, by Krishna himself, the sacrifice of the age of Sankirtan Yajna, where we can come to know, we could be in the lowest, we could be lower than Shudras, could be lower than a dog eater, and still come to the highest stage. And this is stated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis. So, that being said, let's chant a little bit and end out. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,